Is your child constantly struggling with emotional outbursts, difficulty focusing, unexplained sleep challenges, or even chronic digestive issues? If so, you've probably tried a lot, from diet changes to medications, from therapies to supplements to essential oils to breathing techniques. And if your child's still struggling, it can be frustrating and exhausting as a parent because you feel like you're doing all the right things, but something's not clicking. So, in this video, I want to dive into why those different things, from big emotions to difficulty focusing to not sleeping well at night, can actually all be tied together with one common root cause. And in this video, I want to share with you why doing things from the outside, like magnesium before bed, or a foot rub, or essential oils, might be good. But if your child's still dealing with issues, what might be happening inside their body could actually be at the root of things. So, we're going to talk about nervous system dysregulation. Studies show that 17% of kids or more actually deal with a dysregulated nervous system. And the frustrating thing for parents is it's often something that their traditional healthcare provider doesn't know much about. And maybe you've heard about the nervous system, maybe you've heard about fight or flight or sympathetic overdrive, but you don't know enough information to really know if it's applying to your child. So, in this video, we're going to dive into a handful of the different symptoms of nervous system dysregulation. And then also, I want to share with you how neurologically focused chiropractic can be one of the key things to shift your child's nervous system out of fight flight and into rest, digest, and healing mode. Take a little Hasna, for example. When she came to see us at 9 years old, she had been on 3 different medications to try to help her sleep at night. But parents noticed she would still wake up at 2, 3 a.m. most nights out of the week. We looked at her, we assessed her, and we started with our gentle neurological adjustments. By the end of the first month, 5 nights out of the week, she was sleeping through the night. The difference was, it wasn't that we had a magic treatment for sleep. It was that her nervous system was stuck in stress. And as a result, anything they tried from the outside couldn't get in, it couldn't make an impact. And that's what I want to share with you, is that if your child is struggling with big emotions, they feel like you're always walking on eggshells, or no matter what you do, they're always distracted and focused and they need constant reminders, or it's tough to fall asleep or stay asleep. Or maybe they're chronically constipated and they always have tummy issues. What all these things are, yes, annoying symptoms that can affect quality of life, can make your life as a parent more frustrating and exhausting. But also, they're signs that your child's nervous system might be stuck in fight or flight. So, before I go into those different symptoms that I mentioned, I want to first give the context of what a dysregulated nervous system actually means. So, our nervous system has 2 main branches. There is gas pedal mode, which is the go, go, go mode, and there's brake pedal mode, which is the calming things down. So our kids need gas pedal mode if they're playing on the playground, if they're running around at recess, if maybe your child's a little bit older and they need to push through to get a test done, or they're got a big game coming up or a big performance and they need a little adrenaline in their body to give them the energy and the focus to get that thing done. However, if your child's stuck in gas pedal mode, what happens is that stress response comes on in their body and it can never come back down. The reason we need stress, obviously, to come down, to clear that stress out, is because that's what allows our nervous system to calm, to regulate, to focus, to fall asleep at night. We need a brake pedal, a calm nervous system to activate our digestive system. So if you feel like your kid eats food and it just sits there and they poop every few days, that's an also really good sign. So let's dive into what are some of the signs? So, physical signs are category number one. And when it comes to physical signs, what we're looking for here are, what are things that you might see in your child on a day to day basis? So, chronic muscle tension, because when we're in stress, muscles get tight. We'll have parents talk about, yeah, it feels like my kids' ears are always connecting to their shoulders. Their shoulders are up in their ears, or I massage my kid's back at night and there's just this like tight knot that's always there. Mention digestive issues because stress slows down digestion. Sleep is one of the most common things that we see over and over again. Either tough to fall asleep, or you feel like your kid maybe had a really busy day. They played hard, they were going strong. You do some magnesium before bed, you do some lavender essential oil, and still they lie awake at night. They call you into the room 5 times. They hear them tossing and turning. They can't drift off to sleep, or they pop up in the middle of the night and they can't get back down. That's a sign that their nervous system is stuck in this stress mode. Headaches are a common physical sign because stress, as you might have experienced as an adult, can cause tension to creep in from your neck, your shoulders, and into your head. And then the last one on this list are unexplained aches and pains, things that go beyond just growing pains, or things that go beyond your kid was playing all day long and they fell a few times at the playground, but they're complaining of these aches and pains that just never seem to go away. So that's category number one, is the physical stress. Second category are the emotional signs. So here we have things like mood swings. If you find your child is doing okay and then they're told to put down the iPad or pick up their toys because it's dinner time and they just lose it, what's really happening is their nervous system is stuck on edge. And when you give a little simple command, it pushes them over the edge way too easy. Emotional outbursts are going to be a similar category. I know for myself, if I have a lot going on, if I'm stressed at work, if I don't get a good night's sleep, all those things weigh on my nervous system. They make me feel more underlying stress, and I'm a little more short than I want to be. A little quicker temper if there's a big noise that irritates me, or my son's not getting to bed as quick as I want him to. Feeling anxiety is an obvious one. Feeling nervous, feeling worried, fearful, things that you feel like, wow, I don't think this is that big of a deal, yet my child just doesn't want to cooperate. They don't want to go to the birthday party. They feel like they just want to cozy up in their room and disconnect from the world. Irritability, we talked about, and then difficulty calming down after being upset. This is a big one where it's normal at certain ages for kids maybe to have a meltdown or a tantrum. It's normal for your grade schoolers to feel like really stressed about something that happened at school or at the playground that day or with their friends. But it's also normal then to be able to come back down from it. And if you feel there's just this like excessive not calming down, that's another sign that their nervous system is stuck in fight, flight, stress mode, and it's getting this dysregulated state. And then the last slide here is the cognitive signs of nervous system dysregulation. So if you feel like your child's always worrying, they don't remember things well no matter how many reps you put in for math, it's just not clicking. Or because they're worried, because they're unfocused, they have difficulty concentrating. If the brain is in fight flight mode, it is actually designed to jump from one thing to another because of survival. If you're feeling worried, your brain says, I better be checking every little area for danger because I don't want something to sneak up on me. So it's naturally part of the nervous system's response to shift attention quickly when you're in stress mode. As a result, learning is going to be tough. And behavior issues might trickle into school as well. So maybe you're getting calls or emails from the teacher. So if we put all this together, what's happening is we're seeing that the nervous system is getting into this dysregulated state. And now it starts to trickle into all these categories we talked about. And the common pattern that we see with parents is you might bring things up with your child's pediatrician, and they either one might say, don't worry, your child will outgrow it. It's a phase. Kids go through it. And yeah, there are certain things that are phases, but a lot of times your mama gut, your daddy gut, your parental intuition is going to be the most important thing to listen to. If you feel like, yeah, I thought it was a phase, but it's now been 6 months, it's been a year, it just keeps going, something more is going on. Or you might say, well, I get that my kid's going to outgrow it, but this kid is just way different than his 3 siblings. That's another good sign that your intuition is on track, that there's something more going on. So if these things start to trickle, and your pediatrician might also then recommend, well, why don't you see a therapist for their emotions or their anxiety? Or maybe you could do some nutrition testing. Maybe foods are the issue, but now you've done the diets, you've done the elimination, there's no more dyes, there's no more gluten. Where to go next? And it can be frustrating if you start to see these different practitioners for what seem like unrelated things. Maybe you see the neurologist or the psychologist for the focus or the school issues, and now you've added another category of you feel like your time and your energy is being diluted. So if all these things start to make sense, you start to say, all right, well, what's going on underneath the surface? And that often has to do with the nervous system. The other piece I want to share then is, what are some things that might cause your child to have a dysregulated nervous system in the first place? Because if these issues pop up at 5 years old, 6 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever it might be, you might think, all right, what's going on in this moment? In our office, what we like to do is look backward, because we know the nervous system is developing very early on in life. So if we find mom had a really stressful pregnancy, we start to see that baby had extra stress hormones, their nervous system was starting to experience a stress state very early on. Labor and delivery is a very common thing we see. If there's C-section, vacuum, forceps, induction, stalled labor, difficult labor, or hours of pushing, those are all examples that baby didn't get through the birth canal as quickly and smoothly as we had hoped for. And what that does is it can put a lot of stress on the baby's neck. And this is the most critical part of the nervous system when it comes to being able to regulate. I'm going to show you here a scan that we use in our office, and it helps us measure what might be going on in your child's nervous system. So I'm actually going to jump to this scan here on the right, because I was just talking about the birth process. So what happens is, if there's a lot of stress during the birth process, one of the most common areas we see affected is this upper neck area. So the upper neck is most critical, because this is where the brake pedal comes for the nervous system. If you've been looking into fight flight, if you've been looking into sympathetic dominance, this stress response, you've likely heard of something called the vagus nerve. The reason this is the vagus nerve is the most critical brake pedal to bring the nervous system out of a stressed state. And the vagus nerve comes from the brainstem, which is impacted by the head and the neck. So in this child's case, we saw all these red bars up top when we did this thermal scan, one of the scans we do in our office to measure for nervous system dysregulation. As a result, in this kiddo's case, their brake pedal wasn't able to work properly. So if they had a stressful experience, they might try a breathing technique. They might try going for a walk. They might try telling themselves, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. But their nervous system stayed stressed. It couldn't come back down from that stress because they couldn't access their brake pedal. So that's one of the most critical things we're looking for, is how is the vagus nerve working? And what we see then, going back to early childhood, is this is something that can be stressed early on. Clues that this might have happened are a kiddo that was really colicky, or had a lot of reflux, or didn't nurse well when they were first born. Maybe your child never slept well, whether they were an infant, toddler, preschool, grade schooler, any age. You feel like they never could go down for a nap, or maybe they napped well, but they just stayed awake all night. Those are signs that their nervous system was stuck in stress early on. Things like sensory issues, digestive issues, big tantrums, those things might be happening early on. And now you see this stress that is carrying into later childhood. The other scan that we do in our office then to measure for nervous system dysregulation is this scan called heart rate variability, which, if you have an Aura Ring, a Whoop watch, or Garmin or Apple Watch, and you're measuring your own stress level, they use a simplified version of this technology. You might get that little warning on your watch saying, hey, you're under too much stress today. Would you like to take a deep breathing break? your battery is wearing out. And that's what we're measuring for in this scan. The green is ideal, and then mild, moderate, severe are this yellow, orange, and red. So we're looking, if this white dot starts to drift from the green, that means your child's nervous system is not only under stress, but the further it drifts from the green, it means the longer that stress has been there. So this scan is one of the keys that we do to measure for chronicity. How long has this stress been affecting your child's nervous system? And one of the keys that we're always working with is if the nervous system is doing well, it can handle stress. And that's what we want for ourselves. That's what we want for our kiddos, to be able to have life throw us some curveballs, to have a busy day, a busy week, a busy month, but not become wiped out from it, not become stuck in stress mode. So if we go back to those list of different symptoms, whether it's physical, emotional, cognitive, and you find yourself checking off a lot of those boxes, those are signs that your child's nervous system is not only in stress mode, but it's starting to wear them down. And that's one of the things we look for with our scans in our office. So if this resonates, if you feel like, maybe this is the missing piece for my child, if you're tired of going from provider to provider to provider, if you're tired of feeling like you're covering up symptoms with another medication or another therapy, I encourage you to look into neurologically based chiropractic, to find a provider that works with kids, to find a provider that does these scans, because it might just be that missing piece to understand your child better and really feel empowered to know why your child is struggling and then be able to know what to do to help. So feel free, reach out with any questions. We're here for you. We're here to support you, your child, and your family.